Welcome aboard the Boat Buyers Secret Weapon podcast, where we're dedicated to helping first-time and experienced boat buyers find the right boat at the best price so they have years and years of boating fun, because life truly is better on a boat. Today's podcast is sponsored by the Boat Buyers Secret Weapon YouTube channel. Don't pay too much for your next boat. Just visit boatbuyerssecretweapon.com/save to watch a short video. Now, let's hop aboard and have some fun.
Hey, it's Captain Matt, Boater Secret Weapon, and today we're talking about buying used center consoles and what to look out for, the major issues that you'll find on buying a used center console. The first one is mold and mildew. In that environment at the coast, you've got all the moisture and the humidity, and it's so hard to keep the mold and the mildew off the upholstery, off the everywhere on the boat, really. Once that mildew gets started and that mold gets started, it gets into the cushions, and it's nearly impossible to eliminate completely and to stop it. The best you can hope for is to clean it and to make it look good, keep the boat as dry as possible, and then clean it again in another couple of years. So understand that when you see that mold and mildew, you're never going to get rid of it completely. Make sure that you're looking for it tucked in those cracks and the crevices, in those little areas that may not get wiped dry, and then try to keep the boat as dry as possible to eliminate that from really spreading even more. But that is one of the biggest things that you'll find on these center consoles. Next is rot in the transom, rot in the stringers and the flooring. That is something that you really have to inspect completely. We talk about it in our how to buy a used center console video of how to inspect for it, how to look for it, so you don't come up with a very expensive, costly, time-consuming, labor-intensive fix for the boat that you're looking at. Next, you'll see the center consoles have a lot of plumbing. You have your live wells, your bait wells, your freshwater, your raw water washdowns. You may even have a head compartment. All of those require some level of plumbing and pumps. So you have to be able to check those pumps. You want to check the plumbing as well and make sure that your hose clamps are on tight, preferably double hose clamps, because if one of those springs a leak while you're out, a mile offshore or 5 miles offshore or further, you can have a serious issue on your hands. So you want to make sure that's all in good working order. Go through all of the plumbing systems, including looking at the hoses and the fittings and the hose clamps, and make sure those pumps are working as well. Next, if you have a T-top, cracks in the welds. This is so common to have cracks in T-tops that maybe have been beaten a little bit more and really taken out in rough seas. Maybe the welds weren't as solid as they should be. Maybe you've got some flex in the deck of the boat or the way it's attached, and you can find those welds will crack. So you really want to look at every single joint, every single area on that T-top, and make sure. Some of the welds may have even been re-welded, where you can see that weld has kind of been doubled up, and you want to look for what they call the layer of dimes, which is a nice weld where it looks like a bunch of dimes just laid on top of each other. And that's the spot where you want to look for the cracks as well. And once that crack starts in a weld, assume that it's going to continue along that weld line or wherever the weakest point is. Really pay attention to that. It can be a costly repair, and it can cause potentially some serious damage and harm if that T-top fails while you're out in rough conditions. Next is wiring. Because you have all these electronics, you have all the pumps, you have all the components throughout the boat, you want to make sure that your wiring is in good shape. One of the most difficult things to diagnose on a boat is electrical issues. Electrical issues could potentially cause fire, which is a very bad thing when you're out on the water, especially if you're further offshore. So you want to check the wiring under the helm. You want to check the wiring at the batteries. Make sure you've got the proper fuses. Make sure that the battery is wired cleanly and properly. There's no corrosion. The batteries are charged. And you also, as best you can, you want to look to make sure that you don't have any chafing going on the wire. You haven't had any critters get in and chew through wiring. That everything is clean, everything is going to be easy to diagnose, and that it's not just a rat's nest, kind of like you see here in this image, and things are a little bit more cleaned up. The corrosion is at a limited level, and that anywhere there's a connection not only do you have the connection, but preferably it's heat shrunk and it's protected from the additional corrosion that can come from the saltwater environment. The trailer. You get so excited about the boat and focused on the motor that sometimes people will forget that that trailer is a major part of the package. It can be very expensive to replace a trailer, especially if you're in saltwater with these center consoles. Your leaf springs, your axles, the torsion bar, if it's a torsion axle, the bunks. You want to make sure the bunks are solid. And if you're going in saltwater, you absolutely positively do not want a painted trailer. You either want aluminum or you want galvanized. So understand your situation, what the best type of trailer is. We've got a whole video on how to inspect a trailer that you can watch on the channel with over the 400 videos on that channel. Of course, if you're looking at a center console, making sure that your power plant is in good condition. Now, you're probably going to have an outboard, a Yamaha, a Mercury, a Suzuki, a Honda, maybe an Evinrude. You likely won't have the stern drive, but you want to check the compression. You want to check the gear lube. You want to check your oil. You want to check your fuel filters. You want to make sure that you run that boat and demo it for a good 15, 20 minutes to make sure under load that that boat performs the way you want it to. And all the RPM ranges, some wide open throttle, does it take off? We have all of that is included in our free Boat Buyers Toolkit, which you can download at boatbuyertoolkit.com. Check that out. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. We've got over 400 videos on the channel. If you're a first-time boat buyer, you might want to check out the First-Time Boat Buyer Part 1 and Part 2, which is in the First-Time Boat Buyer playlist on the channel. Remember, life truly is better on a boat.
Let's pull up the anchor and run this podcast back to the dock. We'll be back again with another helpful and fun episode next time. If you'd like to be a guest on the podcast, visit boatbuyerssecretweapon.com/guest. And I'll help offer insights into your boat research and shopping experience. Also, we'd appreciate it if you took just 2 minutes to rate and review this podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast. It helps others find us so we can help more boaters. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it in your boating groups on social media. They will certainly thank you. And by the way, if you haven't already, grab your free Boat Buyers Secret Weapon Toolkit at boatbuyerssecretweapon.com/toolkit. And so you don't pay too much for your next boat, visit boatbuyerssecretweapon.com/save for a short video. Now, before we go, I want to leave you with a few first-time boating tips for when you own your new boat. Number 1, know your local boating laws, basic navigation rules, and how to operate your boat safely. It'll make boating even more fun for everyone. 2, be aware of your wake at all times and pay attention to no wake zones because you are responsible for your wake. When maneuvering at slow speeds, you can put out an enormous wake. If going slow, be courteous, save some fuel, and drop down to idle speed, just in forward gear to ensure there is no wake. This could save you an expensive ticket and will keep you from being that guy on your waterway. Number 3, boats do not have headlights. They have docking lights, specifically made for seeing in tight quarters and docking. Do not turn your docking lights on while cruising down the water. It can blind other boaters and is very dangerous and, again, could save you an expensive ticket. Number 4, follow the maintenance schedule for your boat. Change the oil, impeller, gear lube, winterize if you need to winterize in your area. Inspect your trailer tires, bearings, and grease the hubs if you're a trailer boater to ensure you don't experience expensive and unnecessary repairs that will impact your boating time. Number 5, always double check your plug is in, your battery is charged, and the fuel is full before heading out for a day on the water. It could just save your boating day. And if you're a trailer boater, I've got a few extra tips. Number 1, at the boat ramp, prepare your boat, your gear, and your guests in the staging area. Then, when you're ready, back down the ramp, unload the boat, head to the parking lot, and right back down to your boat to be fast and courteous to your fellow boaters and don't tie up that ramp unnecessarily. Next, use transom tie-down straps when trailing your boat. Very bad things can happen if you don't, and they do happen. 3, check everything in the boat is secure before heading down the road. seat cushions, gear, keys, towels, even tubes and lily pads can get blown out when pulling your boat down the highway or interstate. And most important, have fun. Enjoy your boat and get on the water as much as possible, because life truly is better on a boat. Until next time, this is your friend in boating, Captain Matt.